Hello, welcome back to my channel. It is me, Kay, and I'm here today to bring you your Beyond the Gates Season 2, Episode 109 review. Okay, so y'all, just to piggyback off of the last couple of days, everyone is still at the hospital for Eva. Kat is still there. I know yesterday we talked about Kat feeling pressured to test to see if she was a donor. The test to see if she, golly, can I get it out? To test to see if she was a match for Eva. There we go. And one thing that is overarching to me is Kat's hesitancy when it comes to medical situations. I wish that back when we first found out about Anita and the family getting tested to see if they had the gene, I wish we could have had a slight exploration as to why Kat was so hesitant to get tested. Because I feel like those same reasons are at play with as to why she doesn't want to find out whether she's a match for Eva. I think it might be two things going on, you know, her having some kind of medical fear or some kind of hesitancy. And then, of course, her relationship with Eva, which is what's conflicting her. When there was a moment when Kat left, you know, after her argument with Martin, she ran to the stairwell and she was just by herself. And Isaiah went to go and talk to her. And the conversation with her and Isaiah was like smooth at first. But then at one point, you know, because Isaiah feels so strongly for Eva, there was a moment where he kind of got frustrated with Kat because, you know, he feels like Kat is not getting tested to spite Eva. Because he knew that, or everyone knows that Eva and Kat don't have the best relationship. And I can see where Isaiah was coming from, because, you know, coming from the standpoint, he's like trying to do whatever to help save Eva's life because he loves Eva. But at the same time, like, you know, he feels that whatever, you know, Kat and Eva have gone through, this moment is too serious for Kat to let whatever past situations or whatever, you know, has happened in the past with her and Eva, you know, hold her back from doing this because, you know, this could be life or death for Eva. And so he doesn't, well, it kind of was a threat, but he was just like, you know, if it comes down to the fact that Eva dies and you could have done something to change that, we're going to see what kind of moral high ground you're standing on. And so, you know, as a person, I'm conflicted, you know. And I've tried to put myself in Kat's shoes because would I be willing to do the same thing for a sibling I just found out? Now, I even went through, you know, the motions of even questioning, like, if this was Chelsea, would Kat be hesitant? If this was Martin, would Kat be hesitant? You know what I'm saying? If this was Samantha or Tyrell, would she be hesitant? You know, people who she cares about. If this was Tomas, would she be hesitant? You know, while we were in the stairwell, while Kat and Isaiah were in the stairwell, you know, Kat did bring up some very important facts that, you know, sometimes I feel like are overlooked, as if, like, you know, Eva and Leslie came, they destroyed their family, you know, and even when Eva felt conflicted about what her mama was doing, which Eva definitely was not in agreement once she became to find out the truth about the Richardsons. But Kat always felt like Eva didn't do enough to stop her. And then it was her going along with her mama to cover up the 2 assassination attempts against Laura. You know what I mean? Then, them finding out that, the money, was going to the heir. And Leslie hasn't made it easy for nobody. So now I'm just thinking, is the audience happy that Eva is going through this current thing? Do they feel like this is payback or karmic payback for all the nastiness that they have done? Even seeing Leslie in those scrubs for me that Shanice got her just immediately gave me that instant memory of, Leslie going in there to harm Laura, even though Laura didn't do anything to her. So it seems Leslie was just full of a bunch of bitterness and hurt and rejection. Even listening to her talk to Eva and apologize to Eva, I'm proud, y'all. I'm gonna land. I'm just, letting it marinate. Even listening to her talk to Eva and apologize to Eva about Alan, I just, I was just, trying to figure out what kind of headspace Leslie was in all those years to how we ended up at this point right here. In the beginning, when the show first started, I feel like, I felt like Eva had nothing but good things to say about Alan. And I'm trying to remember if she was told Alan was her real father, or if Leslie always told her Alan wasn't her real father, but never revealed to her who her father was. That was so many episodes ago, y'all. I'm trying to remember. But nonetheless, we did hear a couple episodes back how Eva said Alan wasn't good to her and he treated her like he was nothing. He paid her dust. And so now hearing Leslie apologize to Eva and saying, I'm sorry for being with Alan all those many years. He wasn't good to you. But it seems like, I don't know if Leslie just stayed with Alan for the money because he had a good insurance policy. But then I'm just like, they were struggling, or it seems that they were struggling, to make ends meet. And then she was like, I wish I would have told you about your father sooner. And so, and then even with that, I have conflicting feelings with that, because part of me feel like Eva ain't Ted's daughter. They said it was a DNA test done, but then it was said that, he's not a match, she's not a match. So I'm just like, well, who is the doggone match then, if it ain't neither one of them? But back to Kat. We see Martin and Smitty have a conversation with Ted, while Eva was talking to Isaiah. Not Eva, Kat was talking to Isaiah. We find out that Smitty and Martin are not matches. And so I'm just like, everyone has seemed to kind of accept the new reality but Kat. And I understand, I totally understand where Kat is coming from. But I guess my biggest question was, if this wasn't Eva, if it was someone else. Because Kat has brought up her hesitancies about being a donor. multiple times in this segment. And then we have prior knowledge to her knowing about the thing with Anita. My question is, would Kat be this hesitant to donate or be a donor or get tested if it was somebody she cared for? You know, like Ted or Nicole. Eva also said something that stuck out to me about her feeling pressured. Is she said that she felt like just a body that was being put on a platter just to take pieces of her out and give them away. I was wondering where that feeling came from. Because she said she was willing to find Eva any donors. She was willing to help. You know what I'm saying? She even said that, you know, she wished she could have done more for Eva. She's feeling regret and, you know, all these feelings of blame and guilt because even while Eva was struggling, they were not having their finest moment. They were arguing, you know. And so I can see the push and pull that Kat is kind of going through. I don't know if I can fully say that I believe that Kat will end up giving Eva a piece of her liver, or I can't say that I believe Kat will even end up getting tested for Eva. But I do understand why she's put in such a conflicting place. And for me, hopefully this is a humbling experience for both Eva and Leslie, mostly Leslie, because in some ways I do feel like Eva has tried to be the bigger person, or I feel like she's made multiple efforts to try to get along with Kat. Even with how extremely complex the situation was. And for all the times that, you know, things went on between Kat and Eva, sometimes I feel like Eva would have been cool if Kat would have been cool. But there was a lot of times where Kat was mean to Eva. I mean, rightfully so, you know. But I also kind of don't feel like, I don't know. I just see both sides. I can understand both sides is what I'm trying to say. I can see why Kat feels the way she feels and the treatment that she has given Eva. But sometimes I don't feel like Kat has put herself in Eva's shoes with the situation with Leslie, because I don't feel like she never had to be put in that position that they were both in. Let me just say, and by both, I really mean Eva. I don't feel like Kat really put herself in Eva's shoes to understand with the type of manipulation, emotional manipulation, physical, mental manipulation that Leslie has even put Eva through. I feel like, you know, they keep saying it's a short window of time before, you know, enough's not enough and Eva could pass. But there was a moment where Ted, you know, went to comfort Kat, which, you know, this is the first time, or one of a few first times, that we've seen Ted and Kat have this kind of dynamic in their relationship since Eva has been found out to be Ted's daughter. I know that I, along with the audience, felt like Ted had neglected Kat and Martin a lot to try to make up for, the times with Eva. But in these last few episodes, we've had to see Ted check on Martin, be there for Martin, administer medical attention to Martin, follow up with Martin to make sure that he's good, make sure Martin's husband is good. And then when he found out what happened with Eva, after just taking care of everybody else, he had to fly to the hospital to get to Eva to make sure Eva was okay, or to find out what's exactly going on with Eva. And being, there as not only a parent, but as an advocate and medical professional to find out what exactly is going on and be able to explain to everybody in the family what's going on with Eva. And then even with this situation going on with Eva, he's there to comfort or talk to Kat or see how she's feeling, to hear her out. In one scene specifically where Ted had a talk with Kat and she was telling him how she felt pressured, how she had real fears of, donating or finding out that she's a donor or getting tested to be a donor, or, the pressure that everybody has felt. She's even told him that he has pressured her. It hasn't been as to the extreme of an extent, like, for example, Martin and Isaiah. But she said that he was even doing a more gentle version. And, he was just trying to wrap his head around everything that she was saying. God, leave them cicadas aloud. And then, it got to the point where he, I guess, out of desperation, even told Kat, not to think of it as doing it for Eva, but doing it for him. And even that, I'm just like, dang, that puts Kat in a rock and a hard place, because this is something that she really don't want to do. And then part of me had to question if the reason why Kat don't want to find out if she's a donor, because if she is a match, she's going to feel even more guilt about not wanting to give to Eva because she don't like Eva. They don't have a good rapport. She don't want to be the one to have to save Eva, because then that's going to fall on her. She's going to feel more guilt about, being able to be in a position where she could have done more. And then part of me kind of wonders if she even feels worthy enough to give to Eva, because she's feeling so much extreme guilt that she don't want to be the one to give to Eva because she's done Eva so bad. Like the reverse. Like, would Eva even want this from me because of the way I've done her? Would Eva even want me to even be in a position to would Eva even want me here? Like that. But then I have another thought as to, like, Leslie, I can't say Eva, because Eva had these thoughts based off of what Leslie told her. But when Eva found out how the Richardsons and the Duprees really were, her mind was changed. But all the things that Leslie thought about the Duprees, or thought about, because she was so nasty to Nicole for no reason. Nicole didn't even know that lady. All these things all these thoughts and all these mean motives that Leslie had toward the Duprees, If Kat be the one to donate to Eva and save Eva's life, how will Leslie's behavior change? You know? Because even after all the bad you've done, all the nasty things that you said to the Duprees, all the things you've done to spite the Duprees, they have been the ones to be the most giving to her. Even when she don't deserve it. Even when she, you know what I mean? I can't even verbalize. I mean, just think about it. Anita felt so bad about what happened to Barbara, the letter that Barbara left her, that guilt stayed with Anita for years, that it had been years that Anita was putting money in a fund for Barbara and didn't even know who Barbara's descendants was, but just knew that even though Barbara was no longer there, Barbara would have the money to take care of her family, and Anita was going to make sure that Barbara's family was straight. And to come to find out that was Leslie. Leslie benefited off the Duprees in that way. Even after everything that was done, the Duprees were still open to letting Eva be around, coming to family functions, her helping Samantha with her cotillion, her coming to Martin's fundraiser event. You know what I mean? Accepting her. She didn't deserve that. But because that's Ted's daughter, that's Martin and Kat's sister, they accepted her. You know what I mean? And now if Kat have to be put in a position to help save Eva's life, that'll be another situation to where they are benefiting off of the Duprees. It could be nothing more that Leslie could even, Leslie would just have to stop. It's just, I'm gonna need for her to go to the police department and make an open confession about what she did and go to jail. I need for her to do something with this ultimate. If Kat ends up being the ultimate sacrifice and having been put in this position to save Eva after all of the nastiness that they have caused her family, something needs to be done. She needs to go to jail. She needs to go and turn herself in. She need to do something. Because Leslie has done nothing but make it her mission to try to one-up the Duprees ever since she got there. I got no y'all. I just don't know. I don't know. You know, I've been going back and forth with myself because I can see it from both sides, you know, because everybody calls Kat the brat. Kat has been bratty. You know what I mean? I can understand this snarkiness, you know, the meanness, the wrath. She never saw it for Eva. Never. Rightfully so, because her intuition was right. Her intuition was right. But I don't know. I mean, part of me for the storyline, if Kat is going to be like this, I want Kat to stay like this for the storyline. I want her to continue to give to Eva. I don't want her to have to give to Eva out of, because it's not something she want to do. I don't want, if this is not something that she wants to do, so I don't want her to give to Eva. I don't want her to be the one to save Eva's life. Hopefully, Eva is able to get another donor. you know. Then it's just like everybody has had to bite their feelings to help Eva and Leslie. Leslie has been ever so nasty to Shanice. Shanice is a nurse. She has to do her job. And it was plenty of times, like, for example, even when Peaches was in the hospital, Leslie was not nice to Shanice. But since Eva is Ted's daughter, out of respect for Ted, Shanice is going above and beyond to take care of Eva. Checking on her constantly. Checking to make sure her vitals is good. Shanice even took her doggone scrubs out her locker to give them to Leslie so that Leslie can take that dress off. You know what I mean? And even then, Leslie, so worried about Ted, is like, I know you doing this to try to get brownie points for Ted. And Shanice just had to tell her straight up, girl, Ted is my man. Ted is my man. I don't know what you heard, and I don't care what you thought. But Ted is mine. The boy is mine. I'm sorry that you seem to be confused. He belongs to me. The boy is like, I don't know what you're not. I don't know what's not clicking. I'm here to do my job, and I'm here for Eva. I'm on the registry myself. But Ted, he belongs to me. I don't have to do anything to prove nothing else to him. He's mine. I just, you know what I mean? And I just wish she'd get over Ted. Like, girl, Ted don't want you. And I just wish Ted never backslid either, because, like, that is still fueling her denial. Like, please. I'm just like, Ted, you just couldn't just, you know, you already was deep into some things, and you being with that lady and turning to her in your moment of desperation to need comfort, then dug yourself into a deeper hole, gang. And Ted is trying his best to just be there for Eva, but keep himself separated from Leslie, because Leslie could use this moment right here with Eva even as an attempt to, you know, be manipulative. So, you know what I mean? It's a lot. It is a lot. It's a lot. This situation is a lot. And then it's like, we have Nicole. You know what I mean? Nicole is struggling. She done had to wonder where her children were during this storm. At one point, Kat was missing. She found Kat. Kat was all right. Martin got hit by a tree. He was unconscious. He woke up. He fell out, was unconscious again, had to be taken to the hospital because he may have sustained a head injury, and that's still ongoing. We don't know the status of that, you know. Because to me, for someone to have gotten hit by a tree, regardless of what they said, they not allowed to leave that hospital. and I don't even know how Smitty, even as a spouse, was okay with him even leaving the hospital, because That could be so incredibly dangerous. He was hit by a tree. It wasn't like he got hit in the head. He bumped his head. You know, he got hit in the head with a ball or anything like that. He got hit by a tree. And he has left the hospital that same night. Craziness. Against doctors' advice that he should stay for further observation. Nuts. But nonetheless, you know, just ill-advised. He just don't want to do. But nonetheless, Nicole, because I was talking about Nicole. Nicole has Samantha and Tyrell at her house. They are sleeping. She's still up. She's just reeling on the events that have happened. Rightfully so, because anybody would have been reeling. You know what I mean? Kyle is there to comfort her. And she even admits to Kyle her new man piece. That in this moment, she thought that she would be going through and being able to talk to Ted. So even in this moment, out of all that her and Ted have gone through in the last year, she still is thinking about him and wants him to be the person who she is talking to about all of this because it's her family. And then she had to come to the realization that he has other things that he has to take care of. And so he had to be at the hospital, you know. And so Kyle has made extra effort to let her know, like, he is there for her. He will spend the night with her and sleep with her and stay with her throughout the night. That way she won't be by herself. I just was like, wow. Just wow. And then last but not least, you know, Ashley finally goes home. You know, Ashley was off and she had been off. She hadn't been in the hospital in a couple of days because, of course, we know she was grieving Derek. But after what happened at the country club, she had to step in, you know. Then she had to go to the hospital, put on scrubs and help, you know, treat everyone because it was a large number of people. It was a traumatic event, so there was a large number of people at the hospital getting checked out and receiving medical attention. And so she even went there to work. But then, you know, once things got a little evened out, she then left and went home to, you know, rest or whatever like that. But we even see her still dealing with her feelings surrounding Derek and, you know, her being a first responder and, you know, what he would have been doing if he was still living. Because if that situation was going on, he was still living, Derek would have done everything in his power, medically retired or not. He would have been performing and involved and making sure everybody was straight, everybody was taken care of, everybody who needed to get to the hospital got to the hospital, even if he had to go out and carry them over his back and carry them to the hospital himself. And so she said all she could think about is what he would have done, you know, and the things that he would have been saying to her during those moments. And so, you know, that's that. But yeah, y'all, let me know y'all thoughts on this episode. What did y'all think about this episode? I'll be back for episode 111. Did I say this was 109? This was definitely 110. If I said 109 earlier in my review, I meant 110. This is episode 110. But yeah, y'all, I'll be back for the review for episode 111. So like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll be back soon. Deuces.